My name is Johan van Niekerk and I'm a successful businessman, family man, and business coach. I have built multiple businesses in different countries on different continents around the world, and I have had the privilege of assisting hundreds of business owners to grow and scale their businesses. Over the last 25 years, I have realized that business is actually a formula. It is not a simple formula, but it is a formula. And once you've figured out this formula, you will know what you need, when you need it, and in doing that, you will be able to grow and scale your business and become holistically successful. I have figured out with thousands of hours of testing and trial and error that this business formula works on any business. It doesn't matter what you do, business remains the same. Product or service is irrelevant. When you do these things that I figured out in this formula, and you do them diligently and you do them correctly, you are guaranteed to succeed. Over this series, I'm going to be discussing this formula with you, and I'm going to be revealing this secret that I've spent decades developing. I'm going to be showing you how each and every element fits together, what is required and what is needed. Make sure to watch the whole video, because at the end of the video, I will be providing you with a checklist that clearly defines this formula. I'm going to start by giving you an overarching theme here and explaining how this works. I like visuals, as most of us do. We like listening to stories. And so what I've done is I've developed this, and I've done this visual in the form of a house. We all know that the house needs some basic forms. We need a foundation, we need some walls, we need a roof, then we need to fit out the interior, kitchen, bathrooms, carpets, tiles, wooden floors, whatever it is that you like. And then after that, we have to furnish the house. And in this process, I'm going to be using these visuals of a house and of buildings and how to grow and scale your business and how to apply this formula. The formula itself is divided into three very distinct areas. The first area, which I like to call the foundation, is personal development and mindset. I will be discussing this in separate videos where I will be going into the detail of what is required to do this correctly. We'll be delving into things like leadership. We'll be delving into things like vision, mission, purpose. We'll be delving into things like identity and values. This is all very, very important elements in defining who you are and what you stand for. We do business with people, first and foremost. We do not do business with products. We do not do business with companies. We do business with people. And therefore, it is very important that you define who you are, what your identity is, what you stand for, and what you're passionate about, so that you can connect with your clients on a personal level, that they can relate to you, so that you can be authentic. And therefore, this is the basis of everything. It's not just your clients either. It's your potential future employees. You need to attract people that is going to add value to you. And you do that by defining who you are and what value you want to add to your individual clients and to your individual employees. This will be delving into a following video. Like I say, the visual that I like to use for this is the foundation of a house. You cannot build the walls before you build the foundation. You cannot build the roof before you build the walls. All of this is very important, and that's why there's an order in how we do these things. The next element is the walls. This is the structure of the house. Once you've built this strong foundation and you know who you are, what you stand for, what your purpose and your vision and your mission is, once you know what value you bring as a person to your business and to your clients, the next thing that we look up at the walls of this house is your business setup. We will look into things like, what is your business model? How do you build trust with clients? This is the interesting part. Trust, for example, is a science. This is where all these thousands of hours of research and trial and error comes in. I have done the research so that you don't have to. I have tested this so that you don't have to. Trust is a science. We figured it out over decades of testing. We figured out how to actually build trust. And when we build trust with clients, they do business with us quicker, which shortens the sales cycle, which makes you successful in a shorter period of time. We'll also be looking at things like the structure of your business. What is the correct structure for you, depending on what you want to do? What is your value add? A lot of businesses think they just are selling a product, they're just selling a service. That's not what it is. We talk about selling the sizzle, don't sell the steak. You might be having the best steak out there, but what do you sell? Do you tell the client about the Hereford cow that it came from, or from which avocado tree in California your avocado came from. No, you have to sell the experience. Every company sells a feeling, they sell an emotion, they sell a solution. They don't sell a product or a service. And a lot of small businesses make this mistake. So we'll be looking at what value do you add? Where are you going with this business? How are you going to approach your clients? What is your approach here? The whole setup of the business. Those are the walls. Next up, after the walls, the next step is the roof. The roof is the security. The roof is your turnover, your sales, your initial sales, your cash flow, how to get the company cash flow positive so that you can pay your bills, not just in the company, but obviously your personal bills as well. How do you invest in the company? How do you grow it from here? We'll be looking things like your initial marketing strategy. How do you approach your clients? What is it that they want? We'll be looking at things like process flow. We'll also be really delving deeply into AI. AI is such a hot topic these days. What can we do with AI? There's Elon Musk warning us that if we are not careful, AI is going to take us over and this is going to become an iRobot type of scenario. There's others that say AI is the future and it is going to have massive impact on us. I don't know where we are going. I'm not sure, but what I do know is that AI gives us phenomenal opportunities in business. It gives us the ability to duplicate ourselves. It gives us the ability to do so much without having the cost of an employee. Employees are also important. I believe they are a part of business, but I also believe that you always employ technology before you employ people. Technology tends to be more reliable than people, even if we don't want to believe it. People are the heart of the business. Technology is the brain. You first have to activate the brain before you activate the heart. And so we'll be really looking at AI. We'll be looking at how that can impact your business, how you can put it into your business, and which areas it can really have a big impact. We'll also be looking at things like acquisition. What is your strategy there? We're looking at how to identify acquisition opportunities, where to start, how to prioritize. We'll also be looking at unit level economics. This is the start of scaling. How do you define every little element of what you are actually doing so that it is documented and understandable, so that when somebody else has to sell it, they actually understand what you are doing, and you'll understand exactly how much profit you make on every service or every product that you sell. Interestingly enough, I recently worked with a big client where I realized that a major motor vehicle manufacturer cannot tell you how much your car costs, your individual car. They have an idea of what that specific model would cost. But your specific car, they have no idea how much that car costs. This is where the unit level economics comes in. They are doing a massive IT project at the moment to try and figure out that they try and put it together so that they know exactly what it costs. Major motor vehicle manufacturer, not sure what their profit margins are on an individual vehicle. You need to do this from the start because it'll cost you a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of money in the future if you don't figure it out early enough. I'll also start looking at things like a little bit of sales planning and so on. Lots of things in this. This is the roof. This is the security that you get from storms by making sure that the cash flows constantly. Once we have the roof, we have to start looking at the details inside the house. We have to start doing the finishes. We have to look at the kitchens and the bathrooms, the tiles and the floors. We have to look at what is it, how do we fit this house out? And this part of the business is controlling. This is the detail of the business. Generally, we associate this with controlling the finances of the business. What specifically are you looking at? I think everybody has an idea here. Sadly enough, most small businesses do not have full control of their finances. They are not sure exactly where they're spending their money, what their budgets are. They have no idea how to budget a year ahead. I think in all my years, I've probably seen a handful of small businesses that have budgets for the following year. They might know what they're doing today, but they have no idea what they can project for next year. These are the simple things. This is the obvious ones that we can do, but that we will also talk about and delve into detail, but we'll go much more in depth than that. We'll be looking at short-term planning, long-term planning. We'll be looking at actual reporting, not just on finances, but on everything else. What should you be measuring? Which areas are important? Defining your key performance areas, and then designing the measures on how to determine performance, the KPIs, key performance indicators. How do you measure that? It is so important both for the health of your business, but also to help you lead and manage potential employees in the future. We'll be looking at all of these things. We'll be looking at things like CRMs. Do you need one? When do you need one? Which one do you need? We'll be looking at meeting structures. We'll be looking at innovation. How do you keep innovating? How do you stay ahead of your competition? There's so much happening in the industry. Wagner's law says that technology doubles every 5 years. It's not just technology, it's everything else. You have to keep moving. If you are not moving in your business, you are slowly dying. Your competitors are starting to catch up to you, or they are already passing you. You have to look at these things. Accounting systems, of course, payment management and referral programs. There's so much to look at, but we'll be doing a real deep dive into how do you control your business, both from a financial perspective, but from every other aspect as well. Then the last part in building a small business is making sure that you fit it out nicely. You do the interior design. And in a business, that part is the marketing and the sales. Marketing and sales is the catalyst for big growth. That's where you start really scaling your business. If you did everything else right, you will be starting to scale your business and start moving into a medium-sized business. You'll be growing into that area where we say, hey, depending on the country that you live in, depending on where in the world you are, this is when you're starting to move into the $5 to $10 million range. If you're in a first world country, this is where you start having 15 to 20 employees. This is a medium-sized business. This is where you need to be able to control your business better. But we'll be looking at marketing and sales, how to scale you there as the interior design of this beautiful structure that you've built. We'll be looking at positioning. How do you position your brand? How do you position your company? We'll be also looking at one of the most important words that is not spoken about often, framing. How do you frame your product? How do you frame your service? How do you project this to your clients? Another thing that we don't talk about very often is mental availability. I'm sure you haven't heard that word very often, but how mentally available are you to your potential clients? How often are you seen? You have to make sure that your potential client sees you often enough that when they finally have a problem, that you are the first one they think about. You need to be mentally available to them. We'll also be looking at the difference between marketing and sales. What is the difference between marketing for leads and marketing for sales? We'll be delving into all of these things. How do you design campaigns? Small businesses don't have big advertising budgets. The big companies out there have millions and billions of dollars to throw at ad companies to create these awesome campaigns. But with a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of understanding, you will understand that we live by storytelling. This whole video has been a story. This whole video I've created visuals, and I hope that you've been able to follow this along using these visuals of the house and how you build a house and the order that it's in. This is what you have to do for your products. You have to create visuals. You have to tell a story to your clients. We'll be looking at what is the right campaigns. How do you identify campaigns? How do you speak to your clients? How do you build these stories? This all great, and how you can use AI. Another thing before I forget, how do you actually use AI to also drive these things? Is email marketing, is it dead? Is it still alive? How do you use these things? Funnels, big words these days. Everybody's talking about funnels. Do you truly understand what that means? I will break it down and I will make it simple for you. I will help you to do it yourself in this series so that you can either choose to pay somebody else or you can choose to do it yourself. Even if you choose to pay somebody else, it's still important. Most small businesses go to a marketing company, hand over a bunch of dollars and say, do it for me. It doesn't work like that. You have to be in control. You have to drive it. You know your business better than any marketer will ever know it. You have to tell that marketer how to speak to your audience, who your audience is, how you want to approach them, how you want to be perceived. Your brand is in your hands. This is very important that you understand this, how the marketing works. Of course, hand it off at a later stage, but you need to know how this works. Very important. And these are the elements for now and how to build a house. I've only spoken about the foundation and about the house at this point in time. But the next step is taking these two elements, taking the foundation and taking the house, compressing that, and that becomes the foundation for the medium-sized business. I'll be going much more in depth about that. There's so many elements in that, and how do you build it? And the visual that I like to use is a skyscraper. So how do you compress this small business into one of the pilings of a foundation of a medium-sized business? And then how do you scale it? By building one layer after another, one floor after another, building the skyscraper as big as you want it to go. I'm really, really looking forward to sharing this with you over the next few weeks. If you have found this valuable, remember to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell here at the bottom so that you do not miss any of this free and valuable information.